Solomon Grundy, born on Monday, christened on Tuesday, married on Wednesday, took kill on Thursday, grew as on Friday, died on Saturday, buried on Sunday. That was the end of Solomon Grundy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Arkham Files Season 3. My name is Dr. Henderson,
My name is Dr. Boose.
and today we're going to get into the case file of Solomon Grundy. What do you think about Solomon Grundy?
I like him okay. It might be a immature way to look at him, but I just see him as just a zombie. That's big. That's pretty much it. I'm sure there's more to him than just that, but never been in like the top 20 Batman list, for villains. Right in my book, anyways.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. I first introduced to him, I believe, in Batman Arkham City.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, same here. Same here.
and he was in other things, which I guess we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, mostly Batman Arkham City though was the big one. But all right, let's go ahead and get into his file. Solomon Grundy, aka Cyrus Gold, is a supervillain and occasional anti-hero appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics. He was originally depicted as a murder victim brought back to life as a corporeal revenant or zombie, though subsequent versions of the character have occasionally depicted a different origin. His name is taken from the 19th century nursery rhyme Solomon Grundy. It may also be a portmanteau and pun of Solomon Grundy, a dish that is made of pickled meat and has a word origin from the French word salmagondus, which refers to a disparate assembly of things, ideas, or people forming an incoherent whole.
Sounds disgusting.
Yeah. The preserved Grundy is effectively pickled and also made of many different parts from the swamp he was buried in, resulting in the incoherent Grundy. Grundy was introduced as an enemy of comic book hero Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern, but has since become a prominent enemy for a number of superheroes such as Superman, Batman, and other members of the Justice League. As Revenant, whose backstory often involves coming back to life after being deposited in the swamp, later writers have also given him ties to Swamp Thing, one of DC's horror fantasy heroes. Solomon Grundy appeared in the DC animated universe where he first became an anti-hero. The character made his live-action debut as Cyrus Gold in the second season of the Arrowverse series Arrow, and Butch Gilzean on Fox's television series Gotham. Solomon Grundy also appeared in CGI form in the first and second seasons of the television series Stargirl for DC Universe and the CW network. The Stargirl one being the best one out of that bunch. I don't remember him in Arrow.
I think I didn't see it, but I feel like nah, yeah, I don't remember that either.
Let me see what he looked. Okay, he was just like a normal dude in Arrow. Oh, I do remember him. Yeah, that's not Solomon Grundy. Um, Let me send you what Solomon Grundy looked like in Stargirl, because this is the best. He was a giant monster, and they fought him at one point, and he ran off into the wilderness. He showed up a few times throughout it, but it was pretty good.
Okay. Hey, I'll take your word on that.
Well, I sent it to you.
Oh, you sent it to me. Crap. I thought you were talking about his Gotham thing. My bad. My bad.
No, this is from Stargirl.
That actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Good.
The Gotham one I'm not even gonna send you, but
Yeah. What? Because I clowny on it.
no, he just looks dumb.
Let me see. Well, that now I really want to see it.
Man, okay. Granted, this he was introduced when the show got the budget cuts, and that got 2 seasons taken off of it. So that's why he doesn't look good. Because I guarantee you would have looked better. Because they made Mutant Leader. They put Mutant Leader in the final season.
You
From
sound
like
like
the
an
Dark Knight
Xbox
Returns,
fanboy.
and he looked good, but Grundy did not.
You
Uh,
sound like an Xbox fanboy to me. But
I hate Xbox.
I know, but
Okay, okay. When you
say
watch the
whatever makes you
when you
there.
watch the show, it makes sense and it's like interesting. But when I look
I'm
at it like
really on
this,
the side.
it just makes me laugh because it really looks stupid.
What the hell is that?
Someone's
That's a party city.
that's someone's uncle cosplaying as Solomon Grundy.
That's someone see at like Party City. And, oh my, that looks
Well,
horrible.
he was only in it for like I think half a season. Luckily. Okay. But yeah, that was those are the appearances. Okay. Publication history. Created by Alfred what's this? Bester. Okay. He first appeared in All American Comics number 61 in October of 1944. Grundy's the focus of one of the four Faces of Evil one-shots that explore the aftermath of Final Crisis, written by Scott Collins and Jeff Johns, with art by Shane Davis. It is the introduction to a 7-part miniseries featuring the character. All right, pre-crisis. In the late 19th century, a wealthy merchant named Cyrus Gold is murdered and his body is disposed of in Slaughter Swamp near Gotham City. 50 years later, the corpse is reanimated as a huge, shambling figure composed partly of the swamp matter that has accumulated around the body over the decades. With almost no memory of its past life, Gold murders 2 escaped criminals who are hiding out in the marsh and steals their clothes. He shows up in a hobo camp. When asked about his name, one of the few things he can recall is that he was born on a Monday. Um, one which I guess is the nursery rhyme or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, one of the men at the camp mentions the nursery rhyme character Solomon Grundy, who was born on a Monday, and Gold adopts the moniker. Strong, vicious, and nearly mindless, Solomon Grundy falls into a life of crime, or perhaps returns to one, as his scattered residual memories may indicate, attracting the attention of the Green Lantern Alan Scott. Grundy proves to be a difficult opponent, unkillable since he's already dead, and with an inherent resistance to Scott's powers, which cannot affect wood, a substance of which Grundy's reassembled body is now largely composed. He apparently kills Green Lantern, who gives off a green flash. Liking this flash, Grundy commits a murder, hoping to see the flash again. However, the first fight ends when, engaging in fisticuffs with the monster because of the ineffectiveness of his ring, Green Lantern hurls Grundy under a train.
Nice.
A criminal scientist calling himself the Baron of York kills his brother and takes over his gang, stating to them that he knows where to find the body of Solomon Grundy. Once the body is found, the Baron of York injects Grundy with a concentrated chlorophyll upon knowing his background. The side effect turns Grundy into a plant. When the Baron of York bluffs about him being worshipped and served, Solomon Grundy kills the Baron and takes over his gang. While noting that Solomon Grundy is more invulnerable to his ring due to the chlorophyll, Green Lantern chases after Grundy until he becomes exhausted in the petrified forest in Arizona. Using his ring, Lantern traps Grundy in a green plasma bubble for a time. Okay, so it seemed like he was just like a little like villain that would just pop up and do stuff against Green
Yeah,
Lantern.
very rarely.
Um, okay. A freak weather occurrence releases Solomon Grundy from his prison. Making his way across country, Grundy heads for the headquarters of the Justice Society of America. Green Lantern arrives early for the meeting, and when the other members arrive, they find their headquarters smashed to pieces and Green Lantern missing from the ranks. Johnny turns on the radio, which blares the warning that Solomon Grundy is on the loose. The members believe, based on a large muddy footprint on the floor, that Grundy got to HQ and took Green Lantern. The radio continues its report, listing cities where Grundy was seen, so each member picks a city and heads forth to try to find Lantern, while Wonder Woman stays behind. The scene now shifts back to this moment at JSA HQ where Green Lantern had opened the door. To his surprise, Doiby Dickles, walks in and informs him that Grundy has freed himself and is on the loose. Green Lantern leaves immediately, hoping to find Grundy before any of the JSA members are hurt going after him. Minutes later, Grundy arrives at JSA HQ, and not finding the lantern there, he smashes the place up, then leaves. Green Lantern and Doiby use a special radio-like device Alan Scott had developed, and that is attuned to the mental wavelengths of Grundy himself. Green Lantern calculates the path of Grundy and announces over the radio in JS. Wait, what? Yeah. Did I just read that wrong? Hang on. Okay, I'm skipping past that. When Green Lantern and Grundy meet, Grundy rips a tree out by its roots and smashes it into the lantern. Green Lantern fights back with his power ring and fists until both men fall into a nearby stream and over a small waterfall. The lantern is severely dazed and tries to ward off Grundy with his ring, but is much too weak. Grundy grabs Green Lantern by the throat and begins to squeeze the life out of him, holding his head underwater. However, Hawkman strikes Grundy with his mace and Dr. Midnight revives the lantern. The combined attack brings down Grundy, and Green Lantern deposits Grundy on a distant, lifeless planet. I'm realizing as we go through this that he is not a Batman.
Yeah, why are you even talking about him?
He has fought Batman before.
Because it felt. I mean, I guess he was like just early on the day. He was like just like a Because didn't Captain Cold was wasn't just a Flash villain? Like he was just like he kind of just go around fight different people.
No, he's just a Flash villain.
Just okay. I thought it was like some type of villain that people associate with Flash. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. It is kind of weird. How does he ever, or was that like a? That's so weird. I don't know. I do find it strange how he's never really.
He's a
like very early.
JSA villain.
Yeah, he's just like a JSA villain more than anything.
Sure, like the JSA, so I'm fine with it. But still, okay. A battle soon commences when Grundy's body gravitates towards young astronomer Dick Kashmir as he learns to ride light waves, resulting in his assuming Kashmir's identity for a time while leaving the real one bound and gagged, though the society finds him soon after. Excuse me. In this incarnation, he gains intelligence, which he subsequently loses when Green Lantern defeats and buries Grundy in 1947. At this point, Grundy's freed and enlisted along with several other villains by the time-traveling criminal Perdegaton in his second appearance, who's traveled to 1941 to capture the JSA on the day of the attack on Timeline, hoping to change history and take over the world. Grundy encounters Green Lantern, Flash, and Wonder Woman in Echo Park, whom Grundy knows from 1947. Grundy bests the costume trio and is summoned by a mysterious voice to help to deliver them or, quote, pay the penalty. The All-Star Squadron come to their rescue, and Grundy is the last villain to be transported back. He's thrust back to the moon, where he remains for over 2 decades, as this timeline is erased once Degaton is defeated. Okay. What?
That's good. Yeah, I mean it's just. I don't know. I don't know if it's a hot take, but this is probably the most surprising one of what we've done on the Arkham Files so far. Because it's someone like Solomon Grundy. Again, it's the same thing with last week's episode with Deadshot. Just lore I didn't even really expect. You know, I thought Solomon Grundy's simple, easy. He like my dude just comes back from death.
Never.
It's never like that on the show, is it? You just we have a simple solution to this. This guy's story is pretty simple, but no, it rarely is.
Yeah. Okay, it was this. After many years, Grundy's knocked loose from his planet prison and returns to Earth to battle Green Lantern, Hourman, and Dr. Fate. At this point, he has temporary mastery over all wooden objects. Solomon Grundy is imprisoned orbiting the Earth in a stronger bubble created by the combined powers of Green Lantern and Dr. Fate. So they basically send him to space because there's no way to defeat him.
Yeah. They said, screw it, get him off the planet. They're done dealing with him.
Yeah. What's this? Okay, Grundy was once pulled to Earth 1. So this is him from Earth 2, I think, is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's from Earth 2 originally, I guess. Grundy was once pulled to Earth 1 and substituted for the super strong Blockbuster due to a machine that was accidentally pulling the Earths together in warp space and substituting people. During this event, he had absorbed some of Dr. Fate's magic, is stronger than before, and is even able to telekinetically lift Flash into the air. He hates Green Lantern so much he thinks everyone he sees is Green Lantern. He's imprisoned inside a mountain by Earth 1 Green Lantern after being lifted up by Earth 1 Hawkman and dazed by blows from all the heroes. But when the machine is turned off, he is substituted for Blockbuster on Earth 2 and renews the attack, defeating numerous heroes. However, the JSA and JLA went into battle an antimatter being that was threatening both Earths in warp space after being summoned by Dr. Fate. I'm so confused. Who had sensed the threat due to the Spectre. As the heroes return, they find Green Lantern had placed Grundy and Blockbuster together to occupy them, and the two have knocked the hate out of each other. Grundy is then taken back to his Earth by the Justice Society. Okay. In his next appearance, Grundy battles the combined might of both the JSA and later their counterparts, the Justice League, nearly to a standstill at Slaughter Swamp, when he develops an affection for a lost alien child who has accidentally been sent to Earth 2 and is dying due to his separation from his pet. Having absorbed magic from Dr. Fate and Green Lantern, Grundy is able to defeat the combined might of Superman, Flash, Earth 2 Hawkman, Earth 1 Hawkman, and Green Lantern, until he's defeated by both Green Lanterns and sealed in Slaughter Swamp. The alien child is finally reunited with his pet and sent back to his own dimension. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is such a classic Batman villain.
While imprisoned, Grundy incorrectly deduces that the second Green Lantern's Earth must contain a second Solomon Grundy, and crosses over from his Slaughter Swamp prison on Earth 2 to Earth 1, where he overpowers that Earth's Superman before being tricked and stranded on the moon.
Christ.
Solomon Grundy briefly works with the Injustice Society when the Fiddler retrieves Grundy from the moon of Earth 1 to attack the JSA. The two defeat Hawkman and Wildcat before Grundy is thrown into a cooling volcano by Power Girl and Superman. Okay. Jesus. Grundy goes on to afflict Green Lantern and his teammates, including the Huntress, who is the first female for whom he develops an affection. Oh, here we go. After Solomon Grundy is rescued from a glacier by Alan Scott's daughter, Jade, Grundy becomes loyal to her and, for a while, is an ally of Infinity Inc. Eventually, this affectionate relationship turns tragic as the villainous Marcy Cooper, aka Harlequin, of the Dummies Injustice Unlimited, uses her illusion powers to disguise herself as Jade. Harlequin manipulates Grundy to attack the members of Infinity Inc. one by one. She convinces him to press the unconscious Mr. Bones' bare hand against Skyman. Since Bones' skin constantly exudes a cyanide-based compound, this quickly leads to Skyman's death. Once Grundy found out that Marcy had duped him, he savagely beat her within an inch of her life. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of the end for Infinity Inc. and for Grundy's quasi-heroic career. Jesus. That was just Earth 2's version of Solomon Grundy. Earth 1 is a lot shorter. Yeah, when Earth 2 Solomon Grundy visited Earth 1, he left behind some residual cells in the sewers. The Earth 1 Solomon Grundy is born when Parasite uses an enhanced crystal to metabolically hasten the growth of cells, which becomes a new, much more bestial version. During a clash with Superman, it is determined that his might is too much for the Man of Steel, so Superman flies the monster to an alien world inhospitable to all save the hardiest life as the zombie propels himself through the air, mimicking his one-time adversary. What? This version repeatedly plagues Superman for years until during an encounter wherein multiple Grundys are spawned, Superman and the Swamp Thing both encounter the clones. Soon, Superman obtains a compound from Star Labs which causes the Grundy to become inert, in effect killing the seemingly unkillable Man-Thing. Swamp Thing attempts to cry out for Superman to stop, as he believes Grundy to meet the definition of life, but Swamp Thing is unable to express this due to physical difficulty in speaking. This version of Grundy returns one final time without explanation, leading a gang in the Earth 1 Gotham City. He is apparently destroyed yet again when Batman tricks the creature into a blast furnace, where it's apparently consumed by the flames. This version of Grundy was erased from history after the revamping of Superman and Crisis on Infinite Earths. Good God.
What the? I don't know. That's maybe the first time on this show
I'm just
that
like,
the more I hear about him, the less I like him. Because I'm just like, it's like he went out here. It's not, I guess, granted, not his fault. It's writers. This guy has the most convoluted backstory I've ever heard in my life, or just history. His lore is absolutely unacceptable.
This is insane. Okay, post-crisis. The post-crisis version of Grundy has a similar history to his Earth 2 counterpart and debuts during the Batman The Long Halloween story. Grundy and a newly disfigured Harvey Dent strike up an odd friendship after Dent escapes the slaughterhouse to plot his revenge on Carmine Falcone. Grundy also appears earlier in the story while Batman pursues one of the suspects who bombed Dent's house into the sewers during Thanksgiving. Grundy attacks both of them, but Batman drives them off by blinding him with a shot of mace. In the feature-length animated film adaptation of The Long Halloween Part 1, Batman gently persuades Grundy to cease hostilities toward the bomber and allow Batman to assume custody, removing the undesirable intruder and resuming Grundy's status quo of relative tranquility, successfully appealing to Grundy's simple desire for peace, quiet, and solitude in his humble sewer lair. Later, as a somewhat humorous twist, Batman provides Grundy with a Thanksgiving dinner. Oh, how nice. That's not good right about now. Sorry. After Infinity Inc. disbands, Solomon Grundy loses his loyalty towards Jade. A clash with Alan Scott and Jade in the pages of Green Lantern Corps' Quarterly ends with Grundy turning into a statue of petrified wood. The heroes believe the threat of Grundy to have ended once and for all, but they are mistaken. Shortly thereafter, Grundy reappears in Gotham in the pages of Batman: Shadow of the Bat, battling Batman once again and killing the female descendant of one of the killers of Cyrus Gold. Grundy's next major appearance is in Starman, lurking in Opal City sewers. Jack Knight befriends Grundy, who has become innocent and childlike. Grundy also becomes friends with previous Starman McCall Tomas and dies while sacrificing himself to save Jack Knight from being crushed by a collapsing building. When Grundy appears again, he has returned to his malicious persona. The joint efforts of Jack Knight, Batman, Alan Scott, and the Floronic Man are needed to stop him. He's like partially a Batman villain.
Yeah, as Joker is a Spider-Man villain because they
Yeah.
fought once in a comic before.
The origins of Grundy's resurrection come from the fact that the Parliament of Trees, which this is a Swamp Thing, a high council of plant elementals, tried to turn him into the newest plant elemental. However, the trees tried to turn him into the next Swamp Thing, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
The process was missing one vital piece, as a plant elemental cannot be fully created unless it died in flames. Since Grundy's death did not involve fire at all, the process is not complete. As he becomes a sort of half-functional plant elemental, Grundy has been seemingly destroyed on several occasions, only to rise from the swamp again in a new incarnation. Each version of Grundy has been somewhat different from the last, depending on the medium used to dispatch him and the drawing style of the current artist. The original Grundy, for example, had prominent front teeth. Some have been truly evil, much less so. Some much less so. Some versions are more mindless than others. Some are moderately intelligent, recalling the literate, well-spoken monster of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Grundy hides out for a time in the Arrow Cave, the long-abandoned former headquarters of Green Arrow. While searching for artifacts of his former life, Oliver and his former ward, Roy Arsenal Harper, stumble onto Grundy's new hideout. Story, accurately and humorously entitled Grundy No Like Arrows in the Face, is found in Green Arrow Volume 3, number 18. Green Arrow notes that his version seems much more violent. This version seems much more violent and manages to kill him by choking him with the string to his broken bow, despite the fact that Grundy does not have a heartbeat, functional veins, or need to breathe. What? In Green Arrow, Volume 3, number 53, Solomon's Revenge, Green Arrow helps Dr. Chrissy Cavendish, a Star Labs employee who claims she's a great-great-granddaughter of the man the monster spawned from, to find and cure him. Her cure warps her into a monster much worse than Grundy. Green Arrow subdues the new monster and leaves Grundy be. It is not known if Grundy is still using this building. Oh, Lord.
This is just ifs, ands, and buts. And
This is
maybe.
like the most complicated. My gosh.
God, I don't know. This might be the worst one. When you ask me, does this change my
It might be.
perception?
Yeah.
It's all like I hate him.
Can't stand Solomon Grundy.
I can't stand.
Can't stand
queso? Is that queso?
Can't stand.
Queso
No, he's built
Solomon
like it.
Grundy.
Same size. Well, no. Cases. No. Solomon Grundy's smaller.
Than queso.
In the first issue of Grant Morrison's Seven Soldiers of Victory, issue number 0 of the same name, so the Seven Soldiers are like what the Minutemen were to the Watchmen, but therefore the JSA. Basically.
Yeah.
Seven Soldiers came before the JSA, and it had like Green Arrow in it, and Arsenal as sidekick, and Vigilante was in it, but when he was a cowboy. stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
One of the 7 unknown men of Slaughter Swamp recounts the death of the miserly pedophile Cyrus Gold. He's a pedophile now. Killed at the hands
Oh,
of an
okay.
enraged mob, but also mentions that Gold could just as easily have been the innocent victim of a misunderstanding, as Slaughter Swamp is a point in space where time means nothing. In the final issue, the same unknown man punishes another of his group, the 8th man, Zor, by dressing him in Cyrus Gold's clothing and leaving him for the mob to find, implying that Zor, an extremely vain character notable for attempting several times to overthrow the universe and for having defeated the Spectre, would later become the first Solomon Grundy. Um, Grundy's manipulated by Gorilla Grodd via via mind control into attacking Batman and Superman for President Luthor for the bounty of $1 billion in Superman/Batman. Batman is able to stop Grundy. While no specifics are given during the Infinite Crisis story, Solomon Grundy is also coerced into joining the secret society of supervillains. He participates in the final strike against the Secret Six. Ragdoll II encounters Grundy in a doorway. Ragdoll's scarred face relates to Grundy, and Grundy goes on to turn against the secret society. The aftermath of that battle is inconclusive, but Grundy evidently survives, as he was last seen in a murky swamp in JSA Classified. In it, he is convinced by Icicle to help Wizard, who is in trouble. After helping Icicle free Johnny Sorrow from Prometheus's cosmic key, Grundy stays with the newly formed Injustice Society. Solomon Grundy is seen fighting against the Blood Pack in the Battle of Metropolis until he's vaporized by Superboy Prime's heat vision, which kills the Blood Pack and destroys Grundy. In Brad Meltzer's Justice League of America, Grundy is reborn with intelligence after being killed in the Battle of Metropolis. He's revealed to be the mastermind behind the abduction of Red Tornado's robot body. It's revealed he gained his intelligence when he was reborn after being burned by Prime. What? Okay. Um. Okay, wait. Grundy expresses a desire to stop his cycle of dying and being reborn, so it appears he enlists the help of Professor Ivo to build him an Amazo body to live in forever. The Red Tornado kills Grundy with F5 tornado winds, ripping him apart. He later appears in the Salvation Run as one of the villains exiled to another planet. He's killed by parademons. I'm gonna skip that.
This is if you're a fan of Solomon Grundy, you're probably the worst person I've ever met on the planet. This is so like I don't know. It's I don't know if it's just too weird for me or like I don't know.
Well, in the one-shot Faces of Evil, Solomon Grundy in March 2009, Cyrus Gold returns to life in Slaughter Swamp as he was prior to becoming Grundy. He returns to Gotham City, but is shot by police after attacking a charity worker. In the police morgue, he transforms into Solomon Grundy. Grundy is once more an unintelligent monster, repeating the opening line of the nursery rhyme. A week later, having retreated to the sewers, he has a fight with Killer Croc. At the end of the fight, exhausted, he reverts to Cyrus Gold again. So now he's like the Hulk. I don't know what happened. He
Yeah.
finds himself in front of his own grave, where the phantom stranger tells him has 7 days to undo his curse, as quote, "There is an unholy night coming, as black as the dead's blood, and it's best if Solomon Grundy was not around for it." A reference to the upcoming Blackest Night storyline. That's peak. That book is so good. Alan Scott serves as his reluctant guide as the story continues in the Solomon Grundy miniseries. Yeah, Blackest Night is like the best crossover DC ever did. It's so
Yeah,
well.
so
The art in it's
I
so
know
good.
you were telling me about that.
Yeah. In the countdown to Blackest Night, Cyrus Gold was given 1 week to discover the truth of who murdered him, so he could repent for all his sins and gain absolution. Alan Scott and the Phantom Stranger are given as his guides throughout the week, while Etrigan was trying to take him to hell. Gold had a habit of getting killed. No matter how much damage was done to his body, he resurrected as a complete Solomon Grundy, driven to kill. Eventually, it is revealed that Gold committed suicide, meaning he forced the curse of Solomon Grundy on himself. The end of the series run shows Grundy reanimated as a Black Lantern and Cyrus Gold in hell. Grundy then tracks down and attacks Bizarro, using a past friendship they had to stir up the creature's emotions. Bizarro eventually defeats Grundy by flying him into the sun, which completely incinerates him and the Black Ring. I really like the Black Lanterns; are cool.
Oh yeah, Black Lanterns I do love, yes.
The Death Lanterns, and then there's White Lanterns, which are the Life Lanterns. But I haven't read that book yet. It's called Whitest Day or Brightest Day.
Whitest Day.
I get. Well, I was thinking it's Brightest Day because Blackest
No,
Night. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
But Yeah, Bizarro and Grundy seem like they'd be friends. I think
Mhm.
they're both
I,
scary.
I, I can see that.
Okay, DC Rebirth. The Prime Earth of Solomon Grundy is introduced in DC Rebirth. His appearance resembles that of his pre-Flashpoint depictions. Solomon Grundy was briefly seen fighting Arkillo of the Sinestro Corps and Saint Walker of the Blue Lantern Corps. Solomon Grundy is pursued by Batman in Gotham City before the former incapacitates him. Grundy recites the Solomon Grundy nursery rhyme while being pursued before Batman finishes it for him when he defeats Grundy. During the War of Jokes and Riddles arc, Solomon Grundy is among the villains on Joker's side in his war against Riddler. Sorceress Selina created a mindless clone of Solomon Grundy from his DNA sample to serve as the muscle for the Fatal Five and when they fought Supergirl. In a flashback, Solomon Grundy is among the villains that protected Ingrid Carlson during a riot at Arkham Asylum, before Ingrid was killed by an inmate using a rogue batarang despite the villains getting her away from the riot. She gave birth to Astrid Arkham, who would later become Arkham Knight. Oh, okay.
Huh.
Okay, final paragraph. During the New Golden Age, as seen in 1941, Dr. Fate and Salem the Witch Girl comes across Mr. Miracle fighting Solomon Grundy while his Justice Society Dark teammates Zatara and Diamond Jack are having a spat. I didn't know Justice Society Dark was a thing. That's cool. I'm gonna look into
I
that.
want- Yeah, oh yeah,
Um,
I'll definitely look at that too.
Um, okay. After Solomon Grundy's chained up, Mr. Miracle suggests to Dr. Fate and Salem that they should go apprehend the bride of Grundy. When Huntress and Power Girl talk about expanding the JSA, Huntress mentions that her erased timeline had redeemed villains in it. If they end up going down that path, Huntress suggests they should start with trying to get Solomon Grundy to join the JSA. Green Lantern, Huntress, Stargirl, Dr. Fate, Batman, and Salem the Witch Girl confront Solomon Grundy. After Dr. Fate tried to reason with Grundy, Salem the Witch Girl tried to use a Limbo Town spell to regress Grundy back to Cyrus Gold, only for her Limbo Town curse to reduce him to a skeleton. Following Dr. Fate's attempt to get Salem the Witch Girl into Limbo Town, which resulted in her fleeing, Dr. Fate receives a vision of Solomon Grundy, quoting, "Save Grundy." And that is. And there's a little thing down at the bottom. The Amalgam Comics, the series that like Marvel and DC did together where they merged their characters and like
Yes.
other characters. The Skulk is a hero of the Amalgam universe, and he's an amalgamation of Solomon Grundy and the Hulk.
Huh.
Bruce Banner, working on as a scientist gamma rays, he was testing out a gamma bomb in the desert, but a tall figure walked out into the testing area. When Banner went out to see who it was, the man turned out to be Solomon Grundy. The bomb went off, fusing Grundy and Banner together. When Banner gets angry, he becomes Grundy. The creature chose a new name, calling itself Skulk.
The Skulk. Oh. Well then
There was
that
one book. There was
I
all.
try
It
to see
also
the
says here.
Sulk. That's
There's also says here that there was one book, where Solomon Grundy was the warden of Arkham Asylum.
I don't even
Um,
want to know how that happened.
in Flashpoint, Grundy's invited by Lieutenant Matthew Shreve to be a new member of the Creature Commandos. But but Grundy turns around and kills all of his family. He was defeated by Thor at one point in a comic book. And I'm done. Okay.
Yes. Thank God.
End
We are done
of
with.
file. Now, what has your opinion changed on Grundy's as recent?
It actually has. Um I think it's worse now.
I just like to think of him without all that complicated stuff. He's just a zombie that just dies and then comes back to life. He can't die, and only thing he can say is the nursery rhyme.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. Why can't it just be that? Like my guy went through the JSA, different universes, hung out in a layer that doesn't even like really exist no more. And what? Because I'm sure I'm missing a ton.
He was on the moon.
We on the moon. Fought everyone, but
Literally.
everyone considers a Batman villain. Which he barely fought. It's
You know what? For the first time ever on the Arkham Files season 3, I think we're gonna throw this file in the shredder.
oh yeah, let's burn it. Holy
We're
cow!
gonna write our own
Yeah, we're gonna make our
at
own
this
Solomon
point.
Grundy story. My dude goes back to life, dies, keeps coming back, sings the nursery rhyme. That sounds
Yeah,
fine to me. It's fine with me.
that's it. That's it. One paragraph.
That's all it should have been.
But with that, that would be the end of this episode of the Arkham Files.
All right.
Next week, you guys are going to see another episode. Oh my gosh, another episode of a character that might have the shortest file out of all of them, and this would be the case file of Calendar Man.
Is it really short?
It might be. I don't know.
Is the thing.
Yeah, and that once Calendar Man happens, there'll only be 3 episodes left.
All right.
So we got 4 left. Yeah. I guess we go ahead and get ready to get out of here. So thank you all so much for joining us for this episode of the Arkham Files. I've been Dr. Henderson.
I'm Dr. Boose.
And we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.